Hello and welcome to the walk-off, everybody. I'm Scott Belford, joined as always by the best co-host in the biz, Adam Mack. Mr. Mack and I have been on the road for the last couple weeks here, doing shows throughout Saskatchewan and Alberta. Nice little run. We finished things up last night with a show in Edmonton.
Very good one.
It was a very good one. We wound up actually doing the show a cappella. It was a little room we got there and there was no microphone, so that's on me obviously for not checking with the venue, but yeah, did an a cappella comedy show and now we're back into baseball mode here and just in time,
Indeed.
buddy. So for everyone who is watching this, I know that we have missed a couple of Friday shows here, so we are doing MLB Mondays right now. We're releasing it to the public. Normally this is a Patreon exclusive, but there is so much Blue Jays to talk here as we approach opening day that we figured we might as well open the floodgates here and get all of these thoughts and feelings we have about this 2025 Blue Jays team out to the public here. So, again, if you're watching this, feel free to hit the like button, hit that subscribe. Patreon. We'll make this up to you in the next few days here, maybe with a longer preamble or whatnot. So we always appreciate the Patreon. If you join that for $4 a month, you get instant access to all of our interviews. You get extra content in MLB Mondays, which is what this is right now. And of course, you get instant access into the mailbag. The mailbag runs every single Tuesday and you get the Patreon bump with your comments and questions if that is what you're after. Let's get into it. So, Thursday, opening day in Toronto. First time there's been a home opener in quite some time with all the renovations to the Rogers Center and then
Good point.
the COVID stuff and all of that. So, it's been some time now, but pretty excited to start the season in Toronto. By the way, if you are looking for a place to catch opening day and you're not going to Rogers Center, the boys from Blue Jays Today are running an opening day party at Amsterdam Brewing. I'm going to be a special guest on their panel for a few innings there. And if you are going to just ask me, hey, Scott, do you want to come drink beer and watch baseball? I'm an easy special guest to get, right? So looking forward to that. We also have Baseball Town back up and running in Toronto this season. First one of the year is April 17th, Comedy Bar on Bloor. Our special guests are going to be Blake Murphy of Sportsnet and Jays Talk Plus. It's going to be Julia Cruz, now of Sportsnet, co-hosting with Blake Murphy. And we've got Mitch Bannon, formerly of Sportsnet Illustrated. He is now writing for MLB.com and maybe another um, production Blue Jays type of content creator that we'll find out more later on. But always happy to have Mitch on the show. So tickets for that are available right now. I will release the ticket link in the next few days here. I need to do a little bit of housekeeping on the write up and stuff like that, but excited to have live shows back up and going.
Scott and I, we've been struggling with our ticket links kind of
Oh
all week
man,
long.
it's
So,
just, it shouldn't be a struggle, but it has been a struggle. Okay, so let's get into the show. Lots to talk about here. Obviously, the Blue Jays lineup has come together. All of those question marks have been answered. We'll dive into the bullpen and how that looks. Ryan Yarborough has been picked up by the New York Yankees in free agency on a major league deal. So he is going to be in that Yankees bullpen as their left-hander. The Blue Jays chose to go a different route. And obviously, because he was on a minor league deal, he had the option to opt back into free agency a few days before the season. And that's the route he took without a guaranteed pathway to the big leagues. And I don't, who can blame him? This is a guy who has a track record in the league for years now, and who wants to go toil away in AAA waiting for an injury or
mhm.
something or a bad performance to happen. So Ryan Yarborough is a Yankee. Max Scherzer still has some weird thumb stuff going on. We'll dive into it. Alejandro Kirk. I mean, I've been getting messages about this extension all weekend long. What do you think, Scott? What do you and Adam feel about it? So we'll give our impression of that. We'll talk a few MLB notes that were just kind of cool stuff. So Paul Skeens rookie card. We've talked about this, Adam, right? Where he went and offered what was it, season tickets to the Pirates for 40
Yeah.
years or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. To a Dodgers fan, though.
Yeah, exactly. To a 11-year-old Dodgers fan. Well, this 11-year-old Dodgers fan sold the Paul Skeens card and made some big bucks. And then finally, we'll touch on the Tyler Freeman and Nolan Jones trade, which normally would be who cares? Cleveland Guardians, Colorado Rockies trading a couple of prospects. Not really prospects. I mean, guys who are young guys who are coming up in the system there, played in the major leagues, both of them last year. But they're buds and actually found out about this trade well on FaceTime together. So we'll kind of tell you the ins and outs of that story because it is fun. So let's dive into the Blue Jays stuff here. The roster has been made. The lineup is here. And these are the AAA bound guys. So Joey Loperfido, of course, acquired in that Houston Blue Jays trade with Yusei Kikuchi at the deadline last year. He is starting in AAA. Addison Barger, who had an incredible spring, seems to be the odd man out as he is headed to AAA. And Leo Jimenez, Stuart Baroa, and Aroldis Martinez all also starting the season in Buffalo. Aroldis still dealing with that hip contusion. He was hit in the hip earlier, I think it was a week and a half ago now. So he's still
Hmm.
on the mend, but he should most likely be ready to go in a couple weeks here at the most. So um, yeah. The IL list, by the way, Eric Swanson, Zach Pop, Ryan Burr, all starting on the injured reserve list. Dalton Varsho as well. And Varsho is going to be in Toronto for the opening day celebrations, if you will, in that first game. And then he's going back to Dunedin to work with Kevin Kiermaier and kind of just get right defensively, right? We've seen him in spring games. He's been hitting bombs. The bat has looked incredible. I mean, it's spring, so you need to take it with a grain of salt, but he's looked really good offensively. Now they just need to get him back into the defensive stalwart that he was.
Hmm.
And I'm sure it's just a matter of time for that. Um, I think when you look at this lineup, because the biggest thing that people are a little surprised about is that Miles Straw and Nathan Lucas makes this team.
Hmm.
Now, Nathan Lucas does still have an option, so there is value there. Nathan Lucas had an incredible spring last year, if you remember, and didn't make the team. This year he struggled in spring and he made the team. And I think it's just that this is a man who has been with the Toronto Blue Jays for years now, and they just trust that this guy at this point in his career is going to figure it out. He's always been a 300 hitter when he's in AAA and AA. He has been a 300 hitter when he gets the call up to
Hmm.
Toronto. So I think it's a safe bet while they wait for Dalton Varsho to get healthy. Miles Straw also on this team. Of course, that's more of a defensive um, platoon type of guy. He's going to get some starts in center field with Dalton on the IL. Then you have Alan Roden, who made the team, which is so exciting. This is one of the top prospects for the Blue Jays. I think number 5 in the system. He was actually on Baseball Town in Dunedin. Really smart kid. And that's what's exciting about this guy is that he is the type of dude where he's never too high and he's never too low. And there's some real value to those guys who are able to manage their emotions and not ride the ups and downs of a season and take it really to heart, right? Because baseball is all about slumps and heaters. And if you can't kind of mentally compartmentalize those,
Hmm.
you can let it eat yourself alive. So for a 25-year-old who is just going to make his major league debut on Thursday, which is very exciting for him. I know I messaged him last night and was just like, "Hey, congrats, man." And his response was, "Thanks so much, Scott. I can't believe it." Like that sums it up beautifully, right? Like short, sweet, just like
Hmm.
very, very, very cool for Alan Roden. Davis Schneider, of course, he was announced on Saturday that he makes the team. This is not a big surprise. He also had a very good spring. And again, we've talked about Davis, right? This is a dude, he's been on the show 4 or 5 times now.
Hmm.
Since he was in Vancouver, he's been coming on the walk off here. And he has had his ups and downs. He has had his slumps. And every time he seems to readjust to every level. So yes, last year was not pretty. He didn't even hit 500 or 500. Didn't even hit 500. How could we even consider him being on the team? He didn't even hit 200 and his power just kind of was there and then wasn't there. Some of you might remember he was at like 8 home runs going into May 15th and then didn't hit any more until almost July and finished the season with, I think it was 11, right? So for a guy that they were really hoping to get 20 dingers out of, it was disappointing. But again, he readjusted at every level. We've always heard the saying 1,500 ABs is when you can really judge a major league hitter. Davis Schneider right around 500. So definitely going to be an interesting thing to watch there. They're also carrying Will Wagner, and again mentioning Alan Roden made the team. And this is why Addison Barger was the odd man out. John Schneider said this with Will, with Ernie at third base, which is interesting that they're going to give Wagner some plays at third base. It really is the one spot they have, especially with the acquisition of Andre Jimenez this offseason. So
Mhm.
he's not a good third baseman, but he's going to get some reps there. But anyways, with Will and Ernie at third base, it turned Addy into more of an outfielder. And then what would the playing time look like? We want him to be playing consistently with the strides that he's made. So that makes all the sense, right? And you know what? Addison Barger is going to get his chance. Is it is it a complete belly flop by George Springer that's going to bring it on? I don't know. That's definitely an option. Is it going to be Nathan Lucas just once Dalton Varsho comes back? Maybe there is a full switch of Varsho comes back and they move Lucas to AAA and they move Straw to AAA. We'll see how their numbers do too, right? Like Adam, what do you need to see out of Miles Straw to see him on this team regular for the season?
Yeah, I don't know. He's the highest paid of those low option outfielders, right? So he's
Yes.
going to just default into the longest runway to figure it out. Um, but also like this is the make or break year, so nobody really has a long runway, right? Like, I mean, the obvious guys, Vladdy and Bo,
Yeah.
can stumble out of the gates. They're not getting sent down, right? But whether it's Ernie or Rodon or any of these guys, Lucas, Straw, if if a guy like Barger or Loperfido, whoever, is crushing in AAA, putting up like a
Yeah.
340 batting average with a couple of dingers in April, and one of those guys is struggling, like I don't think we have the luxury to wait it out and do any kind of shenanigans with like, oh, service time, if we wait another week to call them up, or oh, do we really want to burn an option year on a guy? Like, I don't think we have that luxury anymore. So I do think
No.
that like this is going to be a year where anybody that's like on a bubble or a hot seat or any cliche you want to give it, if there's a guy who's pressing at AAA, I think you're going to see relatively quick switches. I mean, from a fan standpoint, it might still feel like it's taken forever, right? When Miles Straw is hitting, a buck 35 through the first 2 weeks of the season, and then we give him a third week, we're going to be pulling our hair out, going,
Yes.
he went 0 for 15 this week. What are we still doing? But like, in the grand scheme of what's relative to Major League Baseball, that hook is still going to come essentially pretty quick, I think.
I do think that we will watch this organization ride the hot hand far more than we maybe have in the past. I know John Schneider is a very loyal guy, right? We watched that with Kevin Biggio. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we were all screaming about Biggio for years at times, it felt like. And to his credit or to his detriment, however you wish to frame this, John Schneider stuck with his guys. I do think there is value in that. But, and this is a very big but, 2025 is a very different year because there is no runway here. Both Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins contracts are up at the end of the year. Say the same thing for our franchise players in Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. You've got a older aging pitching staff that fingers crossed they hold it together. Listen, a veteran wily starting staff is not a bad thing. However, there's always a lifetime and an expiration date on an arm. And these are five guys in the staff where your young spring chicken is 29-year-old Bowden Francis. So this is it. This is it, right? Like, this is the year where either this team is a good team or we're going to watch some very, very difficult decisions being made. And I mean, I don't particularly wish to see those decisions being made. I would much rather this just be a really fun season full of winning where maybe they exceed expectations and we can really get behind our Toronto Blue Jays again. The starting staff is no surprise here. All right. And this is going to be the order in which they play out. So Max Scherzer's right thumb responded well to his final start of the year in spring. He pitched 62 pitches. Assuming he's ready for the start of the season, Blue Jays lineup will look like this. This is from Arden Zwelling of Sportsnet and friend of the show. Against the season opener in Baltimore, Jose Barrios, obviously we're well aware, he gets the start in the opener. Kevin Gausman in at number 2. Max Scherzer is the third pitcher in the final game of the it's a 4-game series against Baltimore. So then Bowden Francis is that, Chris Bassett, I should say, is the fourth guy in that Baltimore series. And then we watch Bowden Francis make his debut of the season in the series against the Washington Nationals. So no surprises there. Obviously, the big question mark is going to be Max Scherzer. This is going to be interesting. So Max Scherzer. This is him on his thumb. From the very beginning in free agency, I said the only thing that's holding me back long-term here is the thumb. If you're going to sign me, everything else is good. Back is good. The only issue is my thumb. I thought I had addressed it. I thought I had done enough grip strengthening work to nip it in the bud, that we weren't going to have to deal with this. Unfortunately, it showed back up here in spring training. Everybody's trying to figure out how to manage this, how to get around this, how to overcome this. I don't think I have answers, he continued. We're working with doctors, working with the hand specialists, you name it. I'm trying to figure out a solution to this. And so it's just kind of day by day. Even when you read that, Adam, you can tell Max Scherzer's frustrated.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make you feel good, does it? It seems shrouded in uncertainty.
Yeah, I mean, this was the cold water blanket I was throwing when we signed him, right? It was like, I mean, not thumb specifically, but like this is it. This is the risk of being 100 years old and a major league pitcher, like the arthritis or whatever it is in his thumb, you need those digits to grip the ball. And if you're not, the control's not there, the spin rate's not there, like the velocity's not going to be there. So let's do it this way. What's your panic level on this?
It is concerning. I'm not hitting the panic button by any
scale
means.
Of 0 to 13. Where are you?
0 to 13. I'm a strong 7 of concern, right? Like I'm over the halfway mark of concern, but I'm definitely not waving the red flag here yet. Now, this is going to be about managing it, which is always a frustrating thing for an athlete. And Adam, coming out of spring managing an injury is always more difficult because you're just like, can I limp through 162 games, right? Like there's such a battle of attrition ahead of Max Scherzer. Now, if there is a guy to do it, if there is a man intense enough with the track record of doing this in the past, it is Max Scherzer. I mean, he won a World Series with the Washington Nationals and then again with the Texas Rangers, and his back was brutal. He was literally on painkillers the whole time. And so the fact that his back is healthy and his lower body is strong, maybe he can work around the thumb. And this is what Max Scherzer said too, is that the first 40 pitches, seem fine. When the thumb really starts to hurt is as you get into the innings, right? So my guess is we're going to see Max Scherzer 5 innings to start this season and really see how his control is, see how his pain tolerance is. This is not good news. And I will say this, okay? If there is one guy in this Blue Jays 26-man roster that we are going to be relying on far more than Blue Jays fans are maybe giving credit for right now. If there is one man that we need to see step up big to save this 2025 season, and yes, I'm using the word save already, and we're not even in game one, but Yariel Rodriguez
Yep.
is going to be
Yep.
the decider of how this starting rotation goes. And I feel that very strongly. I hope it doesn't come down to that. And I hope
Now,
that
are you suggesting he becomes a fifth starter, or are you suggesting we see like Max Scherzer giving us 3 innings and Rodriguez tail ending all of those starts with another 2 or 3 of his own?
I'm thinking I'm thinking both, depending on how Max manages his thumb. I think we're going to see Yariel pitching multiple innings out of the bullpen behind Max Scherzer. And I do also believe that we're going to see him need to build up and probably make some spot starts for Scherzer as they give him some rest to probably try and manage this injury. The other thing that was a hit here with Ryan Yarbrough going to the Yankees is that he was the other guy in this bullpen that really felt like he had some length to him, where you could trust him to come, pardon me, come in and pitch 3 or 4 innings because he has a rubber arm. That's what Yarbrough has been known for. It's what Jays fans hated him for when he was with the Rays. It's like, how is this guy always the dude we're facing? Right. So, like, to see him go to the Yankees, that puts all of the pressure on Yariel when it comes to covering innings and being that spot starter. So it's
So Yariel Rodriguez made 21 starts with the Jays last year. Innings pitched, I'm going to just run down these rapid fire. 3.5, 4, 4, 3.5, 1, 1, almost 7, 6, 4, 5.5, 1, 4.5, 5.5, 5, 4, 5, 3, 5, 4, 4, 5. So all this to say, I don't think asking Scherzer to go 3 and Rodriguez to go 4 every 5 days is asking for Rodriguez to take on too much. Like, I think that is a very reasonable. This isn't a guy who like was giving us 1s and 2s all season long last year, and now we're asking him to essentially double the length of his outing. Like, that is not the case.
It's not.
So I think in that situation, if that's how we got to limp through all season long, honestly,
Yeah.
if that's how it has to go, because I would just way rather have. I don't even know if this is possible, right? Like with this injury or whatever, but if this is possible to navigate, where Max Scherzer comes in and gives us like 2.5, 3 innings, like once through the lineup, even of just like 3 up, 3 down, and it's like really good.
Yeah.
And then Rodriguez comes in and midway through the 3rd or the 4th and gets us 4 or 5 innings, right? Like the downside of it is by tying those two together, like there is a roster constraint, right? Of like, okay, now you're committing a whole bullpen arm to a starter, which makes your bullpen,
feel thinner,
12.5% thinner, right?
Yes.
But if those starts end up being like, well, again, if we just consider the Scherzer Rodriguez as a starter,
the piggybacking,
if each of those outings takes us deep into the 7th, then it's also kind of like an off day for the bullpen, almost,
exactly.
right? So it's like if you go Scherzer, Rodriguez, and then you go like setup man closer, that's a pretty good outing, man.
And
you know.
it isn't ideal, but I will say I do think you can get 3 innings out of Rodriguez every 3 days. So it's not
Sure.
eliminating him from the bullpen altogether. It definitely is going to limit his outings and his availability on non-Scherzer days. And we'll see. This is all speculation, by the way. Max Scherzer might be completely fine. We might
Or
watch
completely
him
fucked.
like, or that's the thing too. He could be completely unavailable the other way too. So
New
we'll
segment on the walk off this season. Completely fine or completely fucked. Yeah.
let it be the first one.
Yeah.
So this is not a bad thing, right? Like it's not a bad thing to have a guy like Yariel Rodriguez as your depth piece. The problem does arise that your depth does obviously shrink if this is how you have to play it, right?
And the ripple effect
The
of
ripple
everything
effect
else.
will be caught up. But maybe on the optimistic side, this allows time for Scherzer to heal, right? Like maybe not overworking him will allow him to go 5, 6, 7 innings in July when we need him the most, rather than in April where we can still piece together two
Yeah.
guys who are fresh, healthy, ready to go, and
Yeah.
use that piggyback method. The other thing that's really good about Yariel Rodriguez is if you look at his numbers, he is very, very strong in the first few innings that he pitches.
Yeah.
He does seem to hit that wall on his second or third time through the lineup as well. So maybe this does wind up being a pretty potent 1-2 combo, piggybacking every third start here. So
Maybe they
time will
just share
tell.
the Cy Young.
Share the Cy Young, a Yariel Max Cy Young piggyback.
Yeah.
By the way, I love Max Scherzer and the way he thinks baseball. This is a direct quote. He was asked about. He was asked if he could assess his first camp with the Toronto Blue Jays. Adam, this answer is beautiful. So he goes, "You're going to hate my answer." He began. I've been on enough teams. I've seen enough of how everything comes together. These are good guys in this clubhouse, but you really don't know what you've got and how the team is going to gel and how it's going to come together until the middle of the season. Everybody feels like they've had a great camp across the league. Everybody's going to say that. That's kind of where talk is cheap. How you handle losing streaks, how you handle different environments, that's when you find out how good of a team you are. When you face adversity, he said, that's when you know what type of team you're working with. And this really, it beautifully sums up the team that won the Golden Grapefruit, right? Like
Hmm.
this is a Toronto Blue Jays team that looked hot as hell in spring, had an incredible offensive resurgence. We haven't seen this offense look this good just off the small sample size that is spring training in 2 years. So there's
Hmm.
optimism to be had. But also, in the words of Max Scherzer, I'm paraphrasing, but reel it in, right? Reel it in. Let's see what we got. And we get to see it all on Thursday. Very, very exciting stuff here. Let's get into the bullpen because this is kind of the last thing to touch on here for Blue Jays before we get into the Alejandro Kirk
Hmm.
extension. So Jacob Barnes and Richard Lovelady have made the Blue Jays roster. Um, both of them not having very good springs. So obviously there is analytics and stuff that this organization likes about them that push them above other arms such as Ryan Yarbrough, which
Hmm.
surprised a lot of us Blue Jays fans, right? Because we really had Ryan Yarbrough penciled into that pen almost as a sure thing. So interesting to see how it all played out. Again, I mentioned off the top there that on the IL list is Eric Swanson, which is too bad because he was going to be relied upon to be a high leverage reliever. Zach Pop and Ryan Burr also starting on the IL. So the bullpen shapes out as at the top. Jeff Hoffman, obviously newly acquired, and the closer for the team here in 2025. Jimmy Garcia, Chad Green as the high leverage relievers. Then you got Brandon Little as the lefty and Richard Lovelady as the other lefty. Nick Sandlin, who was acquired along with Andre Jimenez in that Spencer Horwitz trade with Cleveland, Jacob Barnes, and Yariel Rodriguez. Is this a better bullpen than last year? You sure freaking hope so. Are there question marks? Absolutely. Are there question marks in every bullpen across the league, Adam?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. Bullpens really
That's why you're in the bullpen and not starting.
exactly, because it is just a crapshoot sometimes. So it is an interesting bullpen. It's interesting how it's shaped up. It's going to be intriguing to see how John Schneider handles this and who has what roles. How is Brandon Little used? I know that the Blue Jays are really high on some of his aspects, his spin rate, the way he delivers his pitches. I know we watched John Schneider talk really highly about Brandon Little. I watched him in AAA last year. Dominant. Listen, his track record in the big leagues is the perfect example of small sample size. And fingers crossed that he's the guy. Fingers crossed that Richard Lovelady looks a lot better in the season than he did
Mm-hmm.
in the spring. Same with Jacob Barnes. The bullpen could be a problem. You can say the same thing for pretty much every team. Um,
Yeah.
really curious what you folks think. Grounds crew, drop your comments here. The Toronto Blue Jays 2025 bullpen. Are you comfortable with where they're at? And I know this is a tough question to ask before the season starts because you never really know. But I think us Jays fans can all agree that we've been snake bitten by the bullpen a few times here recently where it has literally cost us everything.
Mm-hmm.
2021, this is a team that won 91 games, missed the playoffs by one game, and without a doubt, you can hang that on the bullpen. We watched the bullpen in 2024 literally be the worst pen in baseball and one of the worst bullpens in Toronto Blue Jays history. So is it going to be better than last year? I mean, the truth is, if it's not, we're done. Stick a fork in this team. It's over.
Mm-hmm.
So they better be. The high end guys, I like. Okay. I think Jeff Hoffman is going to be very, very good for this team. I think that Jimmy Garcia, we know what we've got in him. And him at his best is incredible. And him at his worst is a floor I can deal with.
Yeah.
um, Nick Sandlin, he's got that funky delivery, kind of the new Adam Simber in this pen.
Mm-hmm.
Time will tell how hitters adjust to him. Yariel Rodriguez, again, how is he deployed? Yariel could be a high leverage guy, but if we're using him as the long man and piggybacking him off guys like Max Scherzer and Bowden Francis, no offense to Francis, but again, short sample size on what he can do as a starter. And
Mm-hmm.
if Francis takes a step back, which means he's not throwing no hitters into the ninth, which I think we can all expect is probably the case, who knows where this bullpen lies? So, grounds crew, we are going to tackle this in mailbag tomorrow. Let us know. What are you thinking? What are your thoughts on this team's bullpen? What are your thoughts on Jeff Hoffman, Garcia, and Green at the back end of that pen? Is that enough? And do you think that there is a guy out there unsigned that maybe a last minute addition would go a long way? I think there are still some guys out there. I want names. Did you have anything to add here on this roster
Bullpen.
in general here before we dive into the next topic?
Mm-hmm. No, other than to say, like we touched on him right off the top, right off the top, but Nathan Lucas had a really good year last year.
He did.
So the big factor in him making the team, I'm sure, was the fact that he has experience at the major league level. Last year, his numbers 303 batting average, an OPS of 818,
Yeah.
which is an OPS plus of 133. So relative to league average, well above there. Small sample size. Okay,
Small sample size, but I
22
think,
games, but
go ahead, sorry.
just 22 games. So, again, limited action,
Yeah.
91 plate appearances, but he gave us a WAR of 1.2. So he was effective when he was in there. So that's got to be a big factor in him making this team,
The other big
despite how his spring
factor,
went.
the other big factor in him making this team is that he plays left field, right field, and center. He can play all
Yeah,
three outfield positions, and he does so at an average or above average
indeed.
level, which again, I think that Nathan Lucas is a guy that we might look at in 4 months and be like, wow, who would have thought that he would contribute this much to this team?
Mm-hmm.
Because he does have the age to him, right? He's 31.
30. Yeah,
Like so this is a guy that's like this is kind of a make or break year for Nathan Lucas.
indeed.
And he's gonna get some playing time. We'll see how it all plays out. And again, he does have options, so they can send him back down to Buffalo and bring up an Addison Barger if Barger is going to. This is the other thing I think people are losing a little bit of the context on why Addison Barger didn't make the team. And John Schneider touched on it in the quote we read, which is they want Barger still getting everyday reps.
Full time. Yeah.
Not as concerned with Nathan Lucas getting everyday reps. There's a big
Mm-hmm.
difference between 25-year-old Addison Barger and 30 going on 31-year-old Nathan Lucas.
Indeed. Yep.
So all the best to Lucas, and I do think that he's going to get his opportunities. And how Miles Straw does, also another big question mark. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll move on here to I will be honest, this shocked me.
Okay.
Now, I will say it makes all the sense in the world. Okay. But I just didn't see it coming. Alejandro Kirk extended 5
Mm-hmm.
years for $58 million. He has an 11.6 AAV. This takes him through to his age 31 season, and it makes him one of the top paid catchers in baseball, Adam. JT Realmuto, obviously, at the helm here. He is making 24 million AAV. Then you've got Salvador Perez, right? Salvi, playing more and more first base these days. He's at 20 million a season. Then you got Sean Murphy with Atlanta making 15 million. Will Smith with the Dodgers at 12.92, so just under 13 million. Mitch Garver in at number 5 at 12.5 million. And then Alejandro Kirk in at number 6, which where you may slot him in catchers in Major League Baseball. Is he the sixth best catcher in baseball? He very well may be. He's definitely a top 10 guy, and we've talked about this.
MLB.com. This is their top 10 catchers right now. Number 10, Gabriel Moreno. Number 9, Cal Raleigh. 8, Yanier Diaz. Number 7, Alejandro Kirk.
So
Number 6, Wilson Contreras. Number 5, William Contreras. Then an ad. Number 4, JT Realmuto. Number 3, Sean Murphy. Number 2, Will Smith. Number 1, Adley Rushman. So
so
your mileage may vary, but it's when you're splitting hairs between 5, 6, 7, it does come down a little bit to like personal preference, right? This guy has a higher batting average. This guy hits for more doubles. This guy has a better pop time. This guy frames better. Like it's
and defensively,
oh,
defensively, which is probably the most important aspect of catching. And when I say probably, I mean I truly feel that 100% the defense matters the most when it comes to your catcher.
yeah,
Alejandro is probably a top 3 guy in the league between his framing. I mean, we watched him fool Max Scherzer by six
yeah,
inches. The
yeah.
guy is an incredible framer, and we're going to be privy to watching this for the next 5 years. Honestly, Alejandro Kirk, I saw him in spring training. He looks the best he ever has. And I just mean he's obviously took some weight off. He is always going to be a big boned
Well, like
guy. But honestly, he looks really good. He is hitting the ball the hardest he has since 2022. In fact, his exit velo, his top five exit velo in spring were higher than any of his 2024 exit velos. This is a great way to make sure you pound out some doubles.
A lot of damage.
A lot of damage. Let Popkins get that damage in, baby. So honestly, man, I am excited that Alejandro Kirk has been locked up. He is young. Even if you don't like his body, having him under contract until 31, I think that that's a pretty safe bet. Time will
Yeah,
tell.
oh, it's good. It's yeah,
And there's no depth in this team, right? Like there's no
that's
organizational catching depth. Like who's the next guy up? Tyler Heineman's the backup. Like let's be serious here, right?
yeah, that's it's hard to not draw comparisons with the Vladdy and Bo situations and whatever. Like it's good to lock up our young guys. These are the drop off from Kirk to the next
The
depth
Magic
in the
Man.
org is significant. So I don't think that's an overpay. Like I mean, there might be years where you go, oh, like he's really struggling, but even still, less than 12 million a year. But worst case scenario, you go, oh, he was only worth 7 million this year, right? And then
Yeah,
you go,
like
okay, it's a $5 million overpay. What do you do? Like, for 1 year? I'm not worried
and
about it. I think it's a good deal.
there
I think it's good money.
absolutely could be years where we're like, we won this deal by 5 million, right?
Yeah,
So
no, for
I,
sure.
I do think in the end, this will come out in the wash as just a good
A
value
good
for the
deal.
Toronto
Yeah.
Blue Jays. And I mean,
Yeah.
again, the age, you gotta love that he's 26. He has been a Major League Baseball player since 2020, guys. I know it seems crazy, but this kid has been with the Blue Jays since he was 21. He has that veteran tag to him at this point
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
26 years old.
No, it's a perfectly priced deal. Like it's not a team friendly deal, but
It's not a Kirk friendly
it's not
deal.
exorbitant.
It's honestly a
It's
good
feels
value
like
deal.
yeah, good right down the middle. Happy for both sides. I'm glad we got him long term, even though like I have not been a Kirk guy over the
Mhm.
years. Famously, I'm also have said I'm would rather him than the next two guys up. Right. So I'm
Exactly.
thrilled with this locking him up. This is
It
I'm
is
happy.
interesting that we both were like Moreno and Jano. Those are our guys, and it turned out that Kirky is the dude long term, and I'm happy about it. It's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Not really how I expected it to go, and we'll see if catching depth does turn out to be a weakness of this team because this is the thing with this team. There are a few areas where you're like, ugh, if this guy gets bad tacos, right? If this guy has an injury there is almost nothing. And catching is one of those spots. So fingers crossed that Kirky stays healthy. Fingers crossed Kirky can give us that 100 to 110 starts behind the dish that we're after. And fingers crossed that these hard hit balls and the way he looked in spring continues because he looks really, really good at the plate this season. And it would be a huge boon for this 2025 team if Kirky can just slot into that number 4 or 5 spot on this roster and drive in guys like Bo and Vlad and Santander. And I think that he has the ability to do it. I mean, we are talking about the 2022 Silver Slugger at catcher. So he has done it in the past. And I think that even though pitchers have adjusted to him, he's now approaching that. Do you want to pull up real quick Kirky's ABs in his career because
If
Kirk is
he's at 1,563 plate appearances, 1,370 at bats.
so he's right around that. Have we found what Alejandro Kirk is? And he is. So I think this season's going to be a deciding factor as to what we can expect out of his bat long term. And I am optimistic about it.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Also, he doesn't really have an extensive injury history for us to really worry about. In 2021, he missed about 2 months, month and a half, with an arm injury. That was his first full season in the bigs, because as you said, rookie in 2020, and that was uh, the shortened season to begin with, but I also think he made like 5 games that year, if I'm not mistaken. What was it
Yeah.
in 2020? Hold on, bear with me. 9 games in 2020. So in 2021, still adjusting to the higher volume as a 22-year-old. Missed a little bit of time, and then 10 days with a hand injury in 2023. Otherwise, he's in there,
Especially if you
So,
compare his injury history to fan favorite Danny Jansen, right? Now starting catcher with the
yeah,
Tampa Bay Rays. Jano always had the potential to be a real threat, but never could stay on the field. And I mean, this is a used overused saying, but the best ability is availability. It really is,
indeed.
especially at the catching position. So really happy that Alejandro Kirk is locked in here long term. I think that this was a real giant question mark going into the season next year with Kirky expiring, not Kirky expiring, his contract expiring. Kirky's fine. His contract expiring and there being such a giant hole in this organization when it comes to catcher. So great move. How does the rest of the team line up after this? Who signs next? Are there more signings coming? All will come out in the wash.
I will just say, as a Danny Jansen apologist, uh, the start to his career also injury free.
Yeah.
So Danny Jansen, rookie season 2018, didn't have any injuries until 2021, and he's had 7 stints on the injured list in the past, I guess, 4 years. So hamstring, oblique, finger, groin, finger, wrist.
And last
Um,
year, finally, he started wearing protection on his hand. It took him
mhm,
forever to finally buckle and get that protection because he just
indeed.
had bad luck. And that's the thing with catcher. I mean, even you look at Alejandro Kirk's injury and it was the hand, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, you're going to get beat up behind the plate sometimes. You probably are going to lose a couple weeks sometimes. And that is just something that this organization is going to need to deal with.
So I just want to say Danny Jansen was not a guy we worried about injuries with until he was 26, and then
Yes.
it started.
Yeah.
Alejandro Kirk, now 26. Also, Vladdy, we always tout, he's out there 158 games a year.
Yeah.
No spring chicken anymore.
That's
I'm just
true.
kidding, but you know what I mean. So a guy is not injury prone until all of a sudden he's injury prone. That's how it works, right?
So last Blue Jays note before we move on to some Paul Skeens news
Yep.
is you just brought him up, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. What do you think about the whole Mark Shapiro coming out and saying that he feels like there could be a deal that gets done? He likes that both sides want him in Toronto. And my other question to you here, Adam, is this is incredibly out of character for Mark Shapiro, isn't it? Like, didn't it feel weird him saying something like that?
Yes, and I don't buy it. And I think this is just spiteful posturing.
This is
Like
posturing. Okay.
I think this is just well, because Vladdy just spent the last
Yeah.
all the spring training being like, "Hey, I'm being reasonable. It's the Blue Jays that are
Yeah.
lowballing me. I'd love
Yeah.
to be in Toronto, but I gotta be realistic." And now I feel like this is Shapiro being like, "Hey, I think we're close," which
Yeah.
is like a subtle way of saying like, hey, we're offering him something much closer to what he was asking. Like, we just made a major there's an implication there, that like, okay, you thought we were miles apart. We just made a huge concession to take. Like, you don't, I don't know. I feel like you don't say that unless you're implying that, like, we're the ones that are conceding.
I mean,
We're caving and going closer.
he straight up said they had an evaluation and went way over it, right? So, like, maybe this is just posturing. I do have a
It,
hopeful side to me that this isn't just posturing, that like
mhm.
there really is groundwork being laid here, and we're going to be told on Wednesday, right before the start of the season, guess what? Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is a Blue Jay for life. But it does feel like more chess, right? It doesn't, to me, anyways. And I know I'm not squashing anyone's optimism, by the way. Like, be as optimistic as you'd like. I'd love to have Vladdy on this team long term. I mean, the prospect of him being on this team at 40 million a year for 15 years is scary, but
Oh, man.
lock up Bo Bichette. Pay him
This is
250, lock up Bo, and let's roll.
this is the thing, man. It's like baseball is not a one superstar sport.
Yeah.
So if the Jays can afford to pay Vladdy 40 million and
Get that
be at
second
the top
superstar.
of the payroll, then it's like then there's room to be that. But also, fuck, would I if it's Vladdy at 40 and anybody else at 20, I think I'd rather just like 320s,
Yeah.
you know?
You,
Three A
you
minus guys.
you do need to wonder too where Rogers' communication is at right now. I mean, we are already well aware that the Canadian dollar is not on par with the US. So they're already taking a hit and have since the inception of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Mm-hmm.
However, the Canadian dollar is the lowest it's been in a long time. There's all this tariff stuff hanging over their head. How long is this trade war going to go on
Yeah.
with America? Is there implications to this within Rogers? I would think that there probably is, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's probably going to affect many people. So, where are they at on the spending? Because this is a top five team in payroll in 2025. And if you ask pundits, nobody thinks that the Blue Jays are making the wild card, right? Now, I'm a
Mm-hmm.
little more optimistic, but I'm also a homer, everybody. I'm as biased as they freaking come. I can't help myself. I think the Blue Jays are going to compete for the wild card because I want to. All right.
And that's totally fair.
But
I'm with you. I think we'll compete for a wild card.
yeah,
I don't like feel good that like we have the inside tracker that we're the front runners, but I for sure think we're going to see meaningful games all year long.
I do too.
So,
And I also will say that I'm not as high on the Boston Red Sox as a lot of people are. And these could be
yeah.
famous last words, but I will say that when it comes to the Red Sox, they have a lot of question marks too. And
Mm-hmm.
very similar to the Blue Jays, most of the teams in this AL East, yes, they look good on paper. You take one injury and you never know who's going to get injured. Look at what happened to the Yankees and their starting pitching, right? All of a sudden, the Yankees
Yeah.
went from the consensus division winner at the beginning of spring training to now everyone being like, I don't know,
Yeah.
like probably the Orioles is the smart betting money. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
all right, getting into some MLB stuff before we close up the show here. Just wanted to talk a little bit about this Paul Skeens rookie card. Everyone well aware that Skeens and Livy Dunn came out and said, listen, with the help of the Pirates, if you have this Paul Skeens rookie card, we will give you 30 years of home season tickets
Right behind the plate.
at PNC Park, right behind the plate. You get to hang out with Livy Dunn in her box suite. You get to meet Paul Skeens and get autographs. We'll give it all to you. And the 11-year-old who pulled his card was from LA and turned it down. And then this came out just a few days ago. So the 11-year-old boy who did pull the Paul Skeens MLB debut patch card sold it for $1.1 million.
Nice.
Paul Skeens will earn 875,000 this year with the Pirates. So this 11-year-old outdoing him in 2025.
1.1 million. So the I remember when the story came out that this kid had pulled it and what the offer was for the season tickets behind home plate. Um, and that the estimated value on such a deal was around 2.4 million.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 1.4, it's 1.1 cash in hand today,
Yeah.
which is great. I just, I mean, as an 11-year-old, 1.1 million. Like this kid's pretty well set up, right? College is paid for, he's whatever he wants to do.
For sure.
You know, it's a good head start on life as an 11-year-old to get that kind of cash infusion. I could tell you as someone who didn't get it. But I mean, I do wonder if this had gone to a 21-year-old or a 31-year-old in the same boat, LA, I'm not going to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
If they had taken the deal and then just resold the tickets, like
You
it would
know,
take more work. It'd be a grind.
yes.
Every day you're posting tickets, you're making transactions. But
I will say this,
there's
Adam. People who
okay.
make money will hate everything you just said. They'll be like, no, you take that 1.1, you put it in your money manager. He's going to make you, by the time that all those season tickets are sold, you're already a billionaire. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's us hustlers at the bottom that don't know what we're doing and just thinking,
that's right.
well, we could get a little bit extra greedy, couldn't we?
Yeah. You want a
I already
comedy
have
show?
no
You want a
money.
comedy show for $1,000?
Oh boy.
Okay, so we will wrap up on a really fun little story about Nolan Jones and Tyler Freeman. So Tyler Freeman of the Cleveland Guardians, Nolan Jones of the Colorado Rockies. Now, they are friends and they came up together in the Cleveland system. Cleveland had traded Nolan Jones a couple years ago. Jones obviously now a full-time player, so is Freeman. Jones had injury problems last year with the Rockies, but was highly touted, right? And I know I even had him on my fantasy team. It was a bummer because he didn't play much, but there you go. But this is very cool because they know each other. Nolan, or I should say, Tyler Freeman was pulled from a spring training game mid-game. And right away, he was like, oh my God, I'm traded. Like, this is not how this goes, right? To
Hmm.
get pulled in the third inning as you're coming up on
Hmm.
the end of spring training, you're like, uh-oh, what is this?
Hmm.
So he gets on FaceTime with his good friend Nolan Jones in Colorado. And he's like, holy shit, bro, I think I was just traded. And Jones goes, you're kidding. I was also pulled, and I think I'm traded. And then they started to put the pieces together. And there's a great little video of Tyler Freeman telling the story. And he's like, they kind of put it together that they had been traded for each other. And then it all comes out in the media, and they're like, holy shit. So they were
That's so funny.
all excited that they might be reunited, only to find out, wait a minute, one for one. Just
Oh my God,
crazy.
that's funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
It's so
funny.
fun.
Nice. Good
Fun
story.
little story. Exactly. All right, everybody. This has been MLB Mondays. Thank you so
Oh,
very much. Oh,
one last thing and then we'll get out of
yes.
here.
Yes.
Mookie Betts.
Yes. Holy crap,
Still
man.
very sick. I heard he's down 18 pounds.
Yeah.
So he's at like 157 now. He
Yeah.
won't be ready for opening day. He's going to be on the
No.
IL.
Yeah.
Um,
Hopefully
when you
he's
lose 20
okay.
pounds as a, elite athlete, I mean, I could kiss Mookie Betts right now, spit
Yeah.
in my mouth. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I could lose 18 pounds pretty please. All jokes aside, I hope it's nothing serious. I mean,
Yeah.
it's clearly something serious. Um, but yeah, this is the kind of thing that like if he's healthy tomorrow, wakes up feeling good, but lost 20 pounds,
It's going to be
he's gonna have
quite a return.
a hard rehab ahead of him to get back
Mhm.
in fitness levels to where we expect Mookie Betts to be. So I mean,
What a
I don't
bummer.
like the Dodgers, but I do like Mookie. So
Yeah.
like, good recovery, but want to
And
see
they
him playing
still
baseball.
they still don't know what it is. Like that's
Yeah,
what's kind of scary here. I know I was reading about it this morning and just Mookie was saying he's scared to eat. Like he's like, I'm terrified to eat
can't
every
keep
time I
anything
eat.
down. Yeah,
Yeah, like it just so
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
you're
at least they put him on a plane and spread it with everybody.
yeah, that's
If
right.
we didn't
Yeah.
learn anything 5 years ago, so
18 pounds, dude. Whew.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
not fat. That's not like if you or I lose 18 pounds. Well,
No, yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
all
yeah,
muscle mass for Mookie, and
yeah, for sure.
that's bad news for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been MLB Mondays. Thank you so very much, everybody. Apologies for missing the last couple Friday shows. So this one is to the public here. Patreon, we will make it up to you. If you enjoyed MLB Mondays, this is literally what we do every single Monday. We kind of talk a little Blue Jays and go around the league. That's $4 a month for some bonus content, as well as getting instant access to all of our interviews, instant access to our Discord, as well as the Patreon bump in mailbag, which we will either do tomorrow or Wednesday. I'm flying home today. I'm not sure if we can fit it in tomorrow, but we will keep you posted. And again, Thursday, opening day. Meaningful baseball is finally here. We made it, folks. We made it. It's always such an arduous trek once that off season hits. And oh my God, I'm so excited that baseball's finally back.
Indeed.